Well, that's finished. West Ham United 0, Leicester City 2. We're here to discuss the highlights of the game. There are quite a few highlights or low lights. Let's say there's quite a lot of incident in that game, even though it was only 2-0. Doesn't tell the full story, but my word, that's frustrating and exactly what we didn't need going into. I mean, what's best be described as a five-week break, really, isn't it? Because of the World Cup, I think we can probably consider ourselves lucky at the moment that Everton possibly look slightly worse than us. How did we lose to them, by the way? But that's nothing to be proud of at all. I want to go in and deal with everything sequentially rather than there's a lot of time to deal with repercussions and David Moyes and players and everything like that. So I'm just going to deal with the game on its own, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there's not a wider aspect to it, because clearly we find ourselves pretty low down the Premier League. And I mean, it was quite telling when I was listening to the game there. Tony Gale called it a start. West Ham a slow start to the season. I think we're so far in. I think it's hard to call it a start now. We're well in. We're a fair chunk into the season. I actually just looked at the stats before. Literally, that's why I'm a couple of minutes late. Just had a quick look at the stats. 18 shots from us and 6 on target. It didn't. Actually, it felt the 18 shots wasn't surprised by the 6 on target. I sort of was. I've just spoken to Tony, who was at the game, and he said we huffed and we puffed, and we really did, because we had large periods of that game, but I just didn't feel we had any cutting edge. Leicester did. Leicester had all the cutting edge that they needed, and I felt we were a bit fortunate that Maddison got injured as early as he did, because he scored the first goal. He actually started off the move, which resulted in the first goal. He basically started and finished the move, and he was giving Cresswell quite a torrid time as well. It was very early. We didn't have to wait long to get quite depressed about this game. It was 8 minutes in, and really there were a number of occasions to cut this out. Thilo Kehrer was not doing himself any favours, but if you've seen Thilo Kehrer in the last few games play at right back, he played like Thilo Kehrer at right back. I remember when he first joined and there was rumours that he could play right back, because I think it's a problem position for us. And when it was first suggested that he could play at right back, I remember saying, I want to see Thilo Kehrer play at right back. Now I don't. I've seen it, and I've seen quite enough. Look, Barnes running ragged, to be honest with you, and he could have done a lot better with Barnes. However, there were other opportunities to cut that ball out. But by the end of it, it's sort of someone made a scuffed pass, which sort of made the ball pass through our centre halves, and Souček could have done a bit better. I felt that certainly Zuma could have got to it. But in the end, it ended up with Maddison, who was unmarked, and I don't know why he was unmarked. You take your pick, but Cresswell and Benrahma was there. You take your pick out which one of those two should have been picking up Maddison. But look, we knew he was there, but they didn't. And I think it's all very well if you're going to set up defensively. I don't think we were particularly defensive today, by the way. But if you are going to set up defensively, you better make sure you defend and stuff like that. It's just going to kill you when you can't score goals. And at the moment, we just don't have a cutting edge and we can't score goals. But we'll get to that a little bit later, so I'll try and go for it sequentially. Now, you may or may not know, but in this game, Kurt Zouma got injured in the warm-up. To such an extent, it looked like he wasn't going to be able to participate. So Nafer Gerd was apparently ready, had his kit on and was going to start, but then they went back into the dressing room at some point between leaving the pitch at the end of the warm-up and the dressing room. It was decided that Gerd wouldn't play, but Zouma would. Zouma lasted 12 minutes. He broke down. To be fair, I don't think that's the worst decision in the world when you've got 5 substitutes. I'm not that one. There's far more things to be disappointed about in this game than that. I guess I sort of understand the risk on that one. James Maddison got injured as well, as I mentioned earlier on. So there was two withdrawals, one from either team. Fabianski was called in, made a really smart save, very, very long shot. Can't remember, possibly from Tillman, someone like that. Tips it over, really good long shot. Maybe it was Samir, actually. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, he was called into action, but after that, West Ham sort of grew into the game. We saw some nice skills from Ben Rama. We saw Paqueta heading wide. We saw Paqueta shooting over. We saw Paqueta sort of shooting when he trying to get it onto his left foot and shooting when he probably could have just passed it to someone to have a shot. We saw some more skills from Ben Rama. We saw a Ben Rama shot. Ben Rama was playing well, but that's going to be no surprise to anybody listening here. He's been in pretty good form. And we basically had some decent pressure. We finished the half, I think, for about, 25 minutes, 30 minutes of that first half. We were good. We were a better team. But look, we started slowly. That's what we do. We started the game slowly, and we were punished, as I mentioned before. Souček scored a goal, but it was ruled offside, which was a bit of a shame for him, really, because he could do with a goal. Towards the end of the half, though, Dawson conceded a penalty, and it was a penalty. It was really, really clumsy from Dawson. To be fair, he's probably Patson Daka's probably lucky he didn't get injured, but not. Anyway, so they had a penalty, deserved one. That definitely was Tielemans. Brilliant save by Fabianski. Really, really good save. And I'm probably not the only one who was wondering what might have happened if Fabianski is that good. And the guy read out the stats as well. That's Fabianski's 11th penalty save in the Premier League. Well, actually, maybe if it had been between the sticks, we might still be in the League Cup. But yeah, very, very good save. We went into half time 1-0 down. And I don't think we deserve to be. If truth be known, the truth be known, I think it's easy to be in this situation now, and because there's a big clamour to get rid of David Moyes, and I even said myself, I said I think if he loses to Leicester, I think his time's up, right? So it's easy to say that, but I didn't see a team that wasn't playing for the manager there. I didn't see a team that wasn't trying to attack. We were trying to attack. We were trying to attack in the same way that we tried to attack against Manchester United. It was all huff and it was all puff. It was no cutting edge. It was just no real threat. I don't think. The reason I said I was surprised about the 6 shots is I didn't feel that their goalkeeper Ward would have felt particularly threatened by West Ham. Where it really counted, we were basically a blunt instrument, really. Anyway, we started the second half very well, very, very well indeed. Has to be said. Rice had a really good header. Paqueta at this point was growing into the game. I felt his targeting was off all the way through it. It's like to use a rifle analogy, he needed to sight his scope. His crosshairs were out. Almost everything he did was just a little bit too wide or high or low. It just. His accuracy was quite poor. I don't just mean shooting. His accuracy was poor. His passing but anyway, he got better. He did grow into the game. He's always, you can see he's got a good attitude. You can see why Moyes likes him. He was, even when he's not, even when his compass is a bit out, he's still battling. He's still trying to win the ball back. But when his accuracy is out and Skamaka's not really in the game, I think it's really hard for us to do anything. Basically, Ben Rama either scores or creates a goal, or we don't get a goal. That's how it seems to me. Anyway, so it's that went along like that until about I think it was not about the 69th minute. I've written it down. Was the 69th minute, and at that point, Brendan Rodgers made 3 substitutions. Vardy was one of them. He made 3 substitutions anyway, and almost immediately they got a chance. But it wasn't like it was then all Leicester. We had just to say, we had twice as many shots as Leicester today. We had more possession than them. But I never truly felt that even when we were in the ascendancy that Brendan Rodgers was particularly threatened. You always felt he had a goal in him. And I think it would have been a lot harder for us, as I mentioned earlier, had James Maddison have stayed on the pitch. Anyway, at the 74th minute, and I think it was quite quick from David Moyes, I think, to try and combat Brendan Rodgers' tactical shift. On the 74th minute, he brought Fornals on for Souček. Now, Souček wasn't having his worst game because, as I say, we were trying to attack, but I didn't think. I I wasn't upset with the substitution because I never really thought Souček was going to score. I never thought anyone was going to score, truth be known. But I thought we need to probably do something, and I thought that was the right thing to do. I think, as I say, Paqueta was growing into the game. Benrahma was always, was our most dangerous player. Rice was, Rice never going to go off anyway. Rice showed real determination today, by the way. It seemed like the only thing to do. There's no point taking Bowen off. We didn't have Antonio today. Obviously, we didn't have Cornet today, or any day, to be quite frank. So I don't think there was no point taking Bowen off. You had to try and take one of those defensive positions and turn it into attacking one. So that's what he decided to do with Fornells. Actually started really brightly, did a nutmeg Fornells. Oh, this is going to be good. However, going back to the start of the video, I was speaking about Thilo Kehrer and about him being at right back. He'd started to settle a little bit. Basically, he wasn't completely petrified by Harvey Barnes at this point. I think that the terror had sort of subsided slightly. So he was starting to get involved and starting to move forward. And Pablo Fornells tried to make a simple pass. Either to, Declan Rice, Benrahma. He was over on the left-hand side. He's trying to make a simple pass. And what had happened was Thilo Kehrer on the far side had made a run. So he's basically gone from right-back position to right-wing position. Fornells has moved in field a little bit, and he's seen Kehrer. So there's no, you can't say that he didn't know that Thilo Kehrer was not forward, because that's who he was trying to pass to. He was trying to do it. He tried to spread the play, but the pass lacked accuracy. And when you do that, when you know a defender's out of position, you must make the pass. You cannot surrender possession in that area of the field. If he'd have done it on the left-hand side of the field, it wouldn't really been an issue. However, he did it. Kehrer, there's no way he was going to get back, by the way. And as I say, he was at fault for a lot during that game, Kehrer, but I don't apportion any blame to him on that. We were trying to push to get a goal in. It just, the moment Fornells decides to do that pass, it has to be accurate. He can't pass it to a Leicester player. That's exactly what he did. Pass it to a Leicester player. 3 passes later, it's in the back of the net because, basically a race was created between Agurd and Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes finished really well. Real lethal, real cutting edge to Leicester's goal there. And there was a precision and a ruthlessness and an assassin's quality to how they dealt with us that we just didn't have at any point during that game. We just didn't have that killer instinct that they had. It was 2-0 at that point. It was game over. There's no point. That was after I don't know, whatever. Not long after Fornells came on, between the 75th and the 80th minute. By that time, I just didn't have any faith that we would get into it because we just didn't really have any punch. We didn't have any cutting edge. We couldn't get behind their defence. We tried. And the thing is, you can only say that so much. It's all very well saying, they were still playing for the manager, but we were still ponderous. We were still. I've noticed somebody in the chat has said pace. I get teased for going on about it, which I don't mind. I'll take it on the chin. I'm a bit obsessed with pace, but bloody hell, we haven't got any, have we? And I just don't know how that wasn't part of it. I can see Cornet mentioned there as well. We can't rely on this player. He's just not available. He's not available. If we're pinning our hopes on staying up in this league on Cornet coming back, I would, on what evidence? I would suggest the evidence suggests he's probably not. The evidence suggests he's probably not going to be available for us because he hasn't been so far. It's thus far, it has been a terrible signing. And I would say that we actually probably need to go out and invest and get another winger. That being said, it's hard to make a case for any of these signings at the moment really working out. Anyway, that's so I'm digressing into a totally different set of gripes and moans. With just dealing with the game on its own. We didn't play that badly. But I tell you what, I get the impression we could play like that game after game after game and still not score. And I think that's a problem for us. We don't look like we have the ability to score goals. And when myself and Gio do our previews, and if we're discussing the team that's near the bottom, Gio will always ask and say, do you think this team can stay up, whoever it is? And I'll always look at their strikers, and I'll always look at whether they have the ability to score goals. And if it's a team that I think has that ability, for instance, when we discussed, was it last season, Brentford, I had a look. I said, I don't think so. I think, with Ivan Toney and then when they brought Ericsson in, I said they've got enough goals in them to stay up. I'm not going to assess any team like that. But I look at us now, and if I look at us with a cold analytical point of view and take off the West Ham spectacles, we don't look like a team that can score. And that's a massive issue for us. So as well as we play, I'm not sure that's a great thing. The Premier League is littered with teams that have the ability to attack, but without really threatening, and they go down. And that's a real issue. And there's a lot of people who would take a lot of crumbs of comfort from what we've seen today, and I would think maybe David Moyes might be one of them. And we'll look at the 18 shots and so on and so forth. And I guess you can. We'll look at the way the players were still playing for him, and they are all positives. But ultimately, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net and you don't look like putting the ball in the back of the net, then you've got problems. And at the moment, we really do have some massive problems. And I just didn't want to go into the World Cup like this, being in this position. It looks like at the moment, as I've looked at the Premier League, literally just before I pressed sort of start on this video, I had a look. We may well be out of the relegation zone. We may well be in the World Cup and not in the relegation zone, but that's not because of anything that we've done. It's just the other teams have not particularly capitalised on it. Anyway, there's plenty of time for recriminations there. In terms of what if Gio was here, Gio would be asking who played well and who didn't. And I guess I will ask. Played well, no surprise there. Okera was really bad. I'm sorry to say, he was really bad. I have a level of sympathy for him because I just don't think he should be playing there now. I think it was quite telling in the preview and the build-up. Myself and Gio both picked different teams. We both picked different players at right back, and neither of us picked Thilo Kehrer. He is positionally, I don't think he knows how to play it. I don't think he knows how to play a position. He just doesn't know what to do there. I think at centre back, he knows the game. He knows the drill. He knows what. He basically knows where to stand and how to play the offside and all those things. I just don't think he knows how to do it at right back. So he didn't play particularly well. I mean, it was Fabianski played well. Fabianski played really well. If we'd got anything for the game, it would have been because of Fabianski. The penalty was just desperate from Dawson. I think this is half the problem. That a lot of the players who were playing well for us are now not playing well and that's the thing. A lot of players' forms dropped. Dawson's not playing well. Kehrer started when he joined the club from PSG. I thought he was playing really well, albeit in a different position. Not playing well now, and I think there's a lot of things to be concerned about. Scamacca couldn't get into the game. Cut a frustrated figure. Looked ponderous and slow at almost everything he tried to do. That being said, how many chances did he get delivered to him in the position that you'd want a striker to get them? Not many. We just don't create much. We don't. There's lots of twists and turns, and there's overlaps, and there's all this stuff going on, but ultimately nothing actually happens. I would like to actually say something about Declan Rice, though, just so I think that's probably quite a fitting way to finish the video. And he could have tried to look after himself today and look after his World Cup chances and ensure that he gave enough to get by, but he didn't get injured for the World Cup. That's not what happened today. Declan Rice put himself and his body on the line to try and get West Ham to win. It's devastating for him. As I said earlier on in the week, and as somebody that posted on one of the videos has said initially, this is a hell of a waste of Declan Rice's last season, and you can see it's killing him. He doesn't want to leave West Ham in this state. He really doesn't, and he tried everything. But when I looked at it, I was looking. It's funny, me watching the game, I was looking to Declan Rice for leadership. I was looking to Declan Rice to try and help us out, dig us out of a hole here. And I think if you're looking at your ball winning midfielder who's converted from a centre back to try and dig you out and to help you out, then you're in trouble if what you've got is a £35 million striker, a £50 million Brazilian playmaker, and Jared Bowen there and Ben Rama there. Basically, as I say, not that Ben Rama played badly. Ben Rama played well. Was our best attacking threat. But I was still looking at Declan. Can you dig us out of this hole? And I think the moment you're looking to him as your saviour, which is what I was doing, is probably quite telling about how impotent the rest of the team was. Look, I'll leave it there. Look, we got 5-6 weeks. 5-6 weeks to discuss the rest of this stuff. I mean, David Moyes will go on to the training ground now, and I think my only concern is here. Everyone seems to be getting worse. That's the problem. It doesn't fill me with hope that actually go over to the training ground, and everything gets better. As we go over there and things are getting worse, So I'm far from convinced that more time with the players will be particularly helpful. I'm not entirely sure at all. Anyway, as I say, recriminations for another day. All in all, 2-0 loss. Did they have the lion's share of the game? No, we did. But it's football, right? And we can, and I particularly look at football, and there's expected goals, and there's corners, and there's stats, and there's all this stuff in modern football. But ultimately, you got to score goals, and you got to have a good defence. And unfortunately, today we had a crap defence, and we couldn't score any goals, so we lose. Simple as that. Don't matter if we had 55% possession. That's just what happens. We're happy enough to take it the other way. By the way, when we're popping 3-4 goals past Leicester, which we've done in the past, yet they've had all the possession, yet we scored the goals. We're happy enough then. The boot was on the other foot today. They had all the ruthlessness. They had the players, like street smart. Do you know what I mean? It's like they were street smart. Just far more ruthless than we were. And David Moyes was certainly very keen to tell everybody at the start of the game weekend in his press conference that we're on the same points as Leicester, so we can't be that bad. Well, we're not anymore. We're down with a different bunch of teams now. So and Leicester and Brendan Rodgers done a good job. Played well. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna leave it now because I've got to be honest with you. I've got the ump. So enjoy the rest. Not easy, is it? Enjoy the rest of your weekend. GL will be back later on over on the forum channel, our second channel. He's at the game. He's not really at the Jam Making Guild. He's at the game. He's not going to be happy. So he'll be keep an eye out for that video later. And then myself and GL will be back with our player ratings over on our Patreon channel. There's an offer on that, 16% off for signing up for Patreon if you want to go and join up. Now I probably don't feel like it at the moment. Don't bloody blame you, quite frankly. However, we have got a very, very big signing to announce on Patreon next couple of days. Who's going to be appearing on Hammers Chat videos for the rest of the season at least. Anyway, I'm off. I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.